So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, today we have a little bit of draft rumors. We are just under 2 weeks until the 2023 NFL Draft is underway. And of course, with that being the case, over the next 2 weeks, I expect several stories to come out about players the Lions are interested in, players the Lions are not interested in, players the Lions are going to draft or not going to draft, players that are high on the board or falling down the board, and all the rumors and smokescreens that you could imagine. And today we do have a rumor about the Lions, and that is the fact that the Detroit Lions reportedly really like Texas Tech edge rusher Tyree Wilson. Now, Tyree Wilson is a player that sparks a lot of controversy. He is essentially this year's Trayvon Walker, a big, strong athlete that is kind of raw at his position, but certainly has a ton of upside to be a great player in the NFL. And there's a lot of controversy on whether the Lions should be in or out on Tyree Wilson, and even to the point where people are debating where Tyree Wilson would play if he were to join the Detroit Lions. Now, taking a look at Tyree Wilson last season, he stands at 6'6", 271 pounds as of weighing in at the NFL Combine, and last year played really well for Texas Tech, playing in 10 games, 538 snaps, having 8 sacks, 10 hits, and 32 quarterback pressures. Now, with that being said, he also led the country last year with a 20.8 pass rush win percentage, which led the country in that statistic. Now, Tyree Wilson, again, is kind of an anomaly. He's somebody that hasn't really been the biggest producer, hasn't really been the flashiest playmaker at the college level, and certainly has a lot of room to grow. However, the ceiling is undeniable. The ability is certainly there, and the Detroit Lions could absolutely use some more talent on that defensive line, whether it be a defensive tackle, whether that be an edge rusher, or whether that be a person that can play both positions. Now, Tyree Wilson last year for Texas Tech played mostly and almost entirely on the outside, right? 410 snaps outside the tackle, 108 snaps over the tackle, although in previous years he did have more of an impact inside the tackle and over the tackle than he did this past season, which I think is a part of the reason that people look at him as a versatile player. But Tyree Wilson would almost definitely be an edge rusher. I don't think that he would really kick inside like John Kaminsky, like some of the other players that we have on the roster, and in ways that we have been talking about over the last couple of months. I think he has the ability to do so, but the way Texas Tech used him and seeing him at his most productive, he was an edge rusher through and through. Now, Tyree Wilson is not a perfect prospect, right? He is raw. He doesn't really use his hands very well. He doesn't really have pass rushing moves, doesn't set up a move in the beginning of the game or counter with something else later in the game. He is 95% strength, muscle, and will push you into the backfield. He is not necessarily a player with the best get off. He doesn't have the best hands. He's not super quick, doesn't have the best bend, but he is a great athlete. He is incredibly strong. And despite not being a very refined or a very polished prospect, he still came away with the highest pass rush win rate in the NFL, still came away in multiple games looking like one of the best defensive players in college football, and of course, still put up 32 hurries, 10 hits, and 8 sacks a season in the Big 12, where defense is optional and the quarterbacks are putting up incredible numbers. Now, taking a look at Tyree Wilson's RAS score, he did not contribute at the combine, and I don't remember seeing anything about his pro day specifically, but looking at just his measurements alone, standing at 6'5.5", which is a little bit smaller than Aiden Hutchinson, but standing at 271 pounds is good for an edge rusher. 23 reps on the bench is good, but not great. But where he really stands out among this edge class is his arm length. 35, almost 35.5-inch arms for Tyree Wilson is incredible. For reference, Aiden Hutchinson has 32.5-inch arms, and some of the other edge rushers around the NFL do not even come close to what other edge rushers, or to what Tyree Wilson was measured in at the combine, and I believe even measured in at longer arm length at the Texas Tech Pro Day. Now, Tyree Wilson is a raw prospect. Tyree Wilson is, I think, just like Trayvon Walker, a boomer bust player that's going to take at least 2 years to truly become available and really turn into the player that is going to impact the game at a high level, turn into the player that is going to be a game wrecker, turn into a player that can be a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro, and you're not going to really get that on day one like you're going to get with some other players. So, with that being said, should the Lions be in on Tyree Wilson, and should they draft him at number 6? Personally, I think the answer is yes. I think the Lions are in a situation where they can afford Tyree Wilson. They can afford the player you're getting on day one, which is a strong pass rusher, a great run defender, somebody with elite length, somebody with really good strength. Doesn't necessarily have the best get off, doesn't necessarily have the best hands like we've talked about, but the strength, the athlete, the player, the motor, those are all things that really do come in and you really do see at a high level when watching Tyree Wilson, and the run defending is phenomenal. He is a player that I think would immediately help the Detroit Lions rushing attack, and by the time the end of the season comes around, I think he could develop into a pass rusher. He has all the tools to do everything. He's shown the ability to pretty much do everything that you could ask of an edge rusher. He just needs to learn how to do it more consistently. So with that being the case, I think the Lions could very well be in on Tyree Wilson. And not only that, I think it could be a phenomenal pick for the Detroit Lions at number 6, potentially being the best defender in this class in a couple of seasons. Tyree Wilson is certainly in play at number 6 and is a very real possibility that he becomes a Detroit Lion. Now, with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. That is the most recent draft rumor. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about the rumor, what you think about the player, and where you would select Tyree Wilson in the draft. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say. But with all that being said, that is all we have for you guys today. If you enjoyed the Detroit Lions content, make sure you go down below and subscribe and like the video. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions!